Good morning, everybody. We are here with the first story from our Wonders book of the year. We haven't used it yet, so we're excited to jump in. One thing I wanted to say, though, this is not the story that's in the Big Blue Wonders book that you have at home that we gave you. This is a story from a book that we only have at school that we're going to be reading to you. And you're going to be using this story, Little Flap Learns to Fly, for today's reading lesson and also for tomorrow's reading lesson. So you might need to come back to Monday's video to re-listen to the story in order to do tomorrow's page as well if you forget what happened in the story. So it's here for you to watch today and tomorrow if you need to. So today what we're going to be focusing on, Miss Marquardt, is our essential question. Can you read that for us?
I would love to. So our essential question asks, how do friends depend on each other? So this week we're going to be listening to a story about Little Flap, and we're going to learn how he depends on his friends in the story. And every week there's going to be a new essential question that we are going to be working with, and that's going to be for both of the stories that we read each week, and it's going to be in the reading group books that they bring with them to reading groups. So that's pretty cool.
So not only are we going to focus on our essential question of how friends depend on each other, but we're also focusing on a reading strategy or skill. And today we're focusing on visualizing, which is like getting a picture inside of your brain as you're reading. I know that this book does have pictures, but sometimes when I'm reading, even if there are pictures, I'll start to form my own picture of what I think this would look like if it were happening in real life. And so we want you guys to visualize what's happening in the story in your head and create a mental picture. You might even get to draw it later on today. So that'll be pretty fun.
That's awesome.
All right, so Little Flap Learns to Fly. Miss Marquardt's going to start it off for us.
All right, here we go. Little Flap was happy living in his nest. His friends, Fluff and Tuff, lived in the nest next to him. Every morning they sang songs together. Their parents brought them worms to eat. One day, Fluff asked, "Can we get our own worms?" Tuff said, "We can if we learn to fly." Fluff said, "Yes, let's learn to fly."
They're so cute. I'm already really liking this story.
It's a pretty good one to start the year.
Ooh, before I continue, I'm noticing that there's a couple words that are highlighted, and I think the reason they're highlighted is because they're pretty important, and those are our vocabulary words for the week.
Yeah, these would have been the words that we went over this morning during our morning meeting. They're all of the vocabulary words that we're going to see again, not only in this story, but in the big story and in those guided reading books for their reading group. So, very important words.
Let's continue. Little Flap peered over the edge of his nest. It was very high up. When he looked down, the ground seemed very far away. He felt scared. He was too afraid to tell his friends about his fear, so he kept his feelings a secret. Fluff said, "Let's practice flapping our wings. It will make them strong. Watch." Tuff and Little Flap watched Fluff. Then they copied her actions.
Kind of reminds me of like looking up really high into a tree and seeing a nest. When I visualize, that's kind of the picture I'm getting, is this nest like way up high and these little baby birds. All right. Soon it was time to fly. Little Flap could no longer keep his feelings a secret. He asked, "Will I fall? I don't want to get hurt." Tuff said, "You can depend on Fluff and me. We're your friends." Fluff said, "I have an idea. We will go first and show you how. Then you can try. If you fall, Tuff and I will rescue you." Tuff said, "Yes, we can save you." Tuff and Fluff jumped out of their nest. They flew. Little Flap looked down nervously. He still felt uneasy, but he felt braver with his friends. "Okay," he said, "let's try."
Wow, he has some great friends, very dependable friends. The three birds stood together on the branch. They counted 1, 2, 3. Then they flapped their wings fast and jumped. Little Flap lifted into the air. "You're flying just right. You're flying perfectly, said Tough.
Made me nervous. All 3 little birds landed in a patch of soft green grass. Little Flap said, "Now I know I can always depend on you. Fluff and Tough, you are my friends." Then he found a big juicy worm and shared it with his friends. Now Little Flap likes flying.
Oh, that was a great story. And it really did answer our essential question of how friends can depend on each other.
Yeah.
I think that there were a lot of ways that Fluff and Tough helped Little Flap out when he was so nervous about learning to fly.
Yeah, I don't think he was ready to jump out of the nest until his friends were like, "Hey, don't worry, we're going to be there for you." And I love how he even returned the favor by sharing a big juicy worm. That's kind of like when you shared your Snickers bar from your lunch.
Oh, I'm a good friend.
You are.
Awesome. So we're going to show you what the page in your packet looks like that goes with the Little Flap story for your Monday worksheet. It says Monday, Unit 1, Week 1, Friends Help Friends. And first we see our essential question that we talked about, how do friends depend on each other? And you can answer that question using Little Flap and Tough and Fluff if you want as characters in the story. You can tell us how Little Flap depended on Fluff and Tough to help him overcome his fear and learn how to fly. You could even talk about your own self if you wanted to. Do you think?
Oh, absolutely.
I could probably talk about how I've depended on you for things.
Like making this video.
Like making this video.
And teaching all the second graders.
And making all the cute masks I get to wear to keep myself safe.
I still have mine. I'm going to take this off for the next video, but I still have mine. Yeah, I think however you want to answer this question about your friends is fine. It can be friends from a storybook. Maybe it's a way that you depend on your friends, or even your friends depend on you. It could be something at home, something at school, but I'm sure these second graders could come up with a lot of different things that they could write here.
Oh yeah. All right, let's look at the second one. Comprehension strategy was visualize, which we talked about is forming a mental picture in your head, thinking about what things look like. What words help you visualize where the birds landed? What part of the story did that happen in, Miss Marquardt?
Well, most of the story they were in the nest, not ready to fly, and they wouldn't have landed until after they already went out of the nest. So I'm guessing that it's going to be near the end of the story when the birds actually landed.
Okay, so it might be helpful for you guys to go look at those last couple sentences or paragraphs on the last page of Little Flap Learns to Fly in order to find those words that helped you form a picture in your head about what it looked like where they landed.
So they're going to have to rewind this video a little bit, right? In order to go back and find where we talked about that, because you don't have the book in front of you.
Exactly. All right, last but not least, it says draw a picture of what you visualized while listening to the story. So you guys get a chance to draw a picture of any part of the story. It doesn't have to be when Little Flap and Tough and Fluff landed. It could be them up in the nest. It could be scared Little Flap. It could be brave Little Flap starting to fly. Whatever part of the story you want to write about or draw about, I guess, is fine by us.
What if I'm not a good drawer?
That's okay. You just do the best you can. Because I'm not the best artist. I draw like stick figures and stuff. But I'm still going to try hard, and I'm going to try to put some color on it with some colored pencils or some crayons.
Color, I like that.
I usually like to start my drawing with regular pencil.
Me
that
too.
way, if I mess up, I can erase it.
I make lots of mistakes.
Me too.
And I also like to stick to crayon or colored pencil because it doesn't go through the other page in case there's something important on there they need.
Markers are not the best idea to color with when you're working on your packet. So, good tip, Miss Marquardt.
Thanks. I'm pretty excited to see what they come up with.
Good luck, guys.